Welcome back to our series on common FBA mistakes. We recorded these a few months back without the best equipment, but wanted to get this out even if it's a little bit lower quality than our standard, so we apologize ahead of time. In this series, we'll be bridging the gap between theory and practice when selling on Amazon FBA. In each of these, I'll outline the official stance first, and then pull back the curtain to reveal the actionable advice that matters in application. Okay, let's get started. Number 4. Not managing your inventory well. Inventory management is crucial for your Amazon FBA business. You need to keep track of your stock levels and replenish your inventory when needed. You also need to avoid running out of stock or having excess stock. Running out of stock can hurt your sales, ranking, and reputation on Amazon. Having excess stock can incur high storage fees and lower your profitability. All right, so managing your inventory, it's something to keep track of. I recommend checking in, multiple times a week. The main thing that you are looking for is, what is your current sales velocity? How many units are you selling per day? And then keep track of that. I will frequently do it over a trailing 7-day average. This helps get some of the bumps in the system because you might have spikes and lulls, but it helps average, so you're dealing with a rolling average on that. Some people do the last 30 days. It depends on your level of granularity and how much your sales fluctuate per day. The general point, though, is to see what you're currently getting as far as sales. If you start having a ramp up in sales, you need to have inventory ready to go. Depending on how much stock you have, I recommend having 45 to 75 days of inventory inside Amazon at any one particular point. 60-day is a good sweet spot. This makes sure that you have enough inventory in Amazon that if you do get a bump in sales, that you're not going to run out immediately. But it's also not so much that if you do get a lull or a seasonal downturn, that you're not stuck with a bunch of inventory that's going to start getting you storage fees. Because you can easily, especially if you carry excess storage through Q4 and you're not selling very well, Amazon raises their prices for storage during Q4. So if you're not paying attention and you sent in too much product, especially if you sent something in, Q1, and now it's been sitting for over 180 days, Amazon's going to ramp up the prices in general, depending on how long it's been in storage. But then on top of it, Q4, they up all the storage rates for each one of those different tiers. So you could actually destroy all your profitability for the year by having too much stock sitting in your inventory waiting for sales. So this is something to pay attention to, and send in product on an as-needed basis. Again, shoot for 60 days. 45-day would be your lower-end trigger, and maybe 75-day would be your upper-end trigger with 60 in the middle. What you also want to do is, however you send in your product, whether you're sending these one case at a time, or you're sending in a pallet at a time, or you're sending in a truckload at a time, keep an eye on that and replenish just what you need at the time. I also suggest that you have live stock packaged and ready to go for another 45 to 60 days wherever you're keeping this, whether you're keeping this in your own storage unit, whether you have a 3PL, or wherever the product is going to be in inventory. I would suggest that you go ahead and keep that ready. So what happens is, let's say that some influencer mentions your product, and all of a sudden you got an extra 150 sales per day that you weren't expecting. So now all of a sudden you went from having 60 days of stock to 10 just because of this bump. If you already have this stock boxed, ready, labeled, boxed, everything's ready to go, and all you need to do is make a shipment plan and get that on the next UPS truck out same day, then you can get that inventory in. And then if you need to send in even more, or you need to send in larger quantities, you can go ahead and get your pallet, your LTL, or your full truckload out. But having, roughly 60 days ready to go means that, as soon as you find out something has changed in the positive, you can get that shipping out, get that en route. Usually UPS will arrive in 5 days or less and get brought in pretty quickly, whereas LTL and FTLs could easily take 10 days, and depending on other traffic, it could take weeks to get in. So having some smaller quantities to send in via UPS is going to be advantageous to getting it in stock or keeping your product in stock. So always have your backup. Always have your backup shipment ready, so that you're not. You also don't want, like, if you're dealing with a 3PL where you might have all your stuff and it's not yet completely packaged. It's in stock, but it's in pieces. Now that 3PL needs to do an assembly step. Well, they have to schedule your stuff. Well, when are they going to schedule it? Well, you need it now. Well, that's too bad. We'll schedule you in a week and a half, and we'll do an assembly on this. And once we do an assembly, then we have assembled parts, and then we can do the packaging, and then we can do the shipping and all that. So you might go from something that's ready to drop on a truck tonight, gone, to 2 weeks before that thing could even leave. So make sure that your product is, assembled, ready to go, 60 days minimum, and then that way, if you do have a unexpected positive sales bump, you're not going to run out of stock.